A dramatic diplomatic reversal has left Israel scrambling to understand America's new Middle East strategy. President Trump unexpectedly shifted from threatening military strikes against Iran to announcing direct negotiations, catching Israeli officials completely off guard. Israeli analysts are describing the situation as chaotic, with government sources expressing confusion about where this leaves their security partnership with Washington. The sudden policy change came without prior consultation with Israeli leadership, who had been preparing for potential Iranian retaliation following recent tensions. This represents a significant departure from the traditionally coordinated approach between the two allies on Iran policy. The timing is particularly sensitive as Israel faces ongoing security challenges in the region and has long viewed Iran as its primary existential threat. The negotiations could potentially reshape the entire Middle Eastern security architecture, leaving Israel to reassess its strategic planning and military preparedness. How this diplomatic gamble plays out will determine whether it strengthens or weakens the long-standing U.S.-Israel alliance. Tragedy struck southwestern Colombia as a military cargo plane carrying 128 people crashed shortly after takeoff, killing at least 66 individuals according to the head of armed forces. The aircraft was transporting mostly soldiers when it went down Monday, marking one of the deadliest military aviation disasters in Colombian history. Emergency responders rushed to the crash site as rescue operations continued for potential survivors among the remaining passengers. The cause of the crash remains under investigation, with aviation authorities working to determine what led to the aircraft's sudden failure. This devastating incident highlights the risks faced by Colombia's military personnel, who regularly fly transport missions across the country's challenging terrain as part of ongoing security operations. The Colombian military has been heavily involved in counter-narcotics efforts and maintaining security in remote regions where road access is limited. The loss of so many service members represents a significant blow to the nation's armed forces and will likely prompt a comprehensive review of military aviation safety protocols and aircraft maintenance procedures. Chancellor Rachel Reeves is preparing to outline who will receive government support for soaring energy bills as Britain grapples with economic shockwaves from the escalating conflict in Iran. The rapidly evolving situation has forced the Treasury to develop real-time responses to market volatility and energy price spikes affecting millions of households. Reeves must balance targeted assistance for the most vulnerable while managing the broader economic pressures created by Middle Eastern instability. The Chancellor faces the challenging task of determining eligibility criteria that ensure support reaches those most in need without creating unsustainable fiscal burdens. Oil and gas prices have surged amid regional tensions, directly impacting British consumers already struggling with cost-of-living pressures. This economic intervention represents a critical test of the government's ability to respond swiftly to international crises while maintaining domestic stability. The Treasury's approach will likely focus on income-based thresholds and regional variations in energy costs. The success of this support package could define public confidence in the government's economic management during this period of global uncertainty. Danish voters are heading to the polls in a pivotal election overshadowed by President Trump's renewed threats to acquire Greenland, with Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen projected to secure a historic third term. The election has been dominated by Frederiksen's firm rejection of Trump's Greenland ambitions, a stance that has resonated strongly with Danish voters who view the American president's territorial claims as unacceptable. Polling indicates that Frederiksen's defiant response to Washington's pressure has actually strengthened her political position domestically. The Greenland controversy has transformed what was expected to be a routine election into a referendum on Danish sovereignty and independence from American influence. Trump's threats have included potential economic sanctions and trade restrictions if Denmark refuses to negotiate Greenland's transfer. This election outcome will have significant implications for U.S.-European relations and could set a precedent for how smaller nations respond to great power pressure. Frederiksen's expected victory would signal strong public support for maintaining Danish territorial integrity regardless of American diplomatic and economic threats, potentially inspiring similar resistance among other European allies. Immigration and customs enforcement officers have been deployed to 14 major U.S. airports, including New York's JFK International, in what appears to be a significant escalation of immigration enforcement operations. The deployment represents one of the largest coordinated airport enforcement actions in recent years, targeting key transportation hubs across the country. ICE agents are reportedly conducting enhanced screening and enforcement activities, though specific details about their operational scope remain limited. The action has raised concerns among immigrant rights groups about potential disruptions to international travel and the targeting of specific communities. Airports affected include major international gateways that handle millions of passengers annually, suggesting this operation could impact both domestic and international travelers. The timing coincides with broader immigration policy changes and enforcement priorities under the current administration. This deployment highlights the intersection of national security concerns and immigration enforcement in critical infrastructure locations. The operation's duration and specific objectives have not been officially disclosed, leaving travelers and advocacy groups uncertain about the full scope and implications of this enhanced enforcement presence at America's busiest airports.